The New Jersey Devils have been wheeling and dealing as of late in the aftermath of a very disappointing season. Of course, earlier on this year, they traded Taylor Hall and gave up on this season, as they really should have. And now the dominoes continue to fall. 2 trades, one this afternoon, one this evening, that, results in me trying to get this video out as soon as possible. Andy Greene, the captain of the Devils, has been traded to the New York Islanders without any cap retention whatsoever in exchange for David Quenneville and a 2021 second-round pick. And Blake Coleman has been dealt to the Tampa Bay Lightning. There were rumors that he was going to Colorado. He goes to Tampa instead in exchange for Nolan Foote and a conditional first-round pick. It's just a question over whether or not it's going to be a first-round pick this year or next. Let's talk about these 2 trades. We're going to bury the lead here, and we're going to go with the Andy Greene trade first, since it occurred first. When it comes to Andy Greene, veteran presence for sure, 37 years old. He's at the end of this contract. I think it is more of a way to just be like, hey, go to a team that might win, who's to say, right? And, technically, I could see it. I could see the Islanders being competitive. Of course, they were competitive last year. They're in 3rd place right now in the Metro, so that's not really all that surprising. Taking a look, we'll go over to Hockey Reference because I'm actually intrigued by some of the possession numbers. But, with Andy Greene, a decent addition on the back end. And here, you know what? Again, this was very, very spur of the moment in terms of these deals happening and having to take a look. But, we'll take a look at the Islanders depth chart, I guess, first and foremost. And again, shout out to the likes of Cap Friendly, Hockey Reference, and Elite Prospects, 3 of my favorite sites on the internet. But, you look at this defense core here. Pulock, Leddy, Boychuk, Mayfield. Pelech is hurt for the rest of the season. So, yeah, you kind of had to make a deal there to bring in somebody. You bring in Andy Greene, you still have Devon Taves. You're looking okay. And Noah Dobson's only played 30 career NHL games. So when you look at this Islanders team, would you probably prefer to bring in a bigger name than Andy Greene? Maybe? Possibly? Looking at the cap situation for them now, they still do have a decent amount of cap space. That's, of course, after bringing Andy Greene in, his contract already being listed there. So I'm a little bit surprised that this is the direction that the Islanders chose to go in, especially because they had to give up a second-round pick to get the deal done, which, again, is bizarre to me. Like, if you're going to give up a second-round pick to bring on Andy Greene, you'd think there would have been some cap retention, but maybe the Devils would have wanted another first if there were to be cap retention, so it's a bit weird. David Quenneville, no disrespect, but in terms of is he ever going to make it to the NHL, it would be surprising at this point, honestly. So for the Devils, it makes all the sense in the world. You bring in an extra draft pick. You're, putting together this stockpile at this point. But, Quenneville, he's going to be turning 22 in less than a month. 6 points in 18 games for Bridgeport this year isn't that bad. Not that productive in the ECHL. It's going to be an uphill battle for him. He was a 7th-round pick anyway, 5'8", 190, so not that smaller defensemen aren't kind of the meta at this point. But, that Andy Greene trade makes sense for New Jersey. You send Greene to a playoff team, more than likely a playoff team. You get a draft pick back, and, of course, we'll look at the Devils' stockpile of picks in a moment. But, yeah, like I said, for the Islanders, it's a little bit surprising. You had more cap space to work with. Maybe the market for defensemen isn't exactly as high as, what it is for the forwards. Again, when you think about what forwards could be dealt, obviously like Toffoli and Kreider come to mind. And obviously Blake Coleman was up there too, and now he's been dealt as well. But I'm just a little bit surprised that they didn't try to go for a bigger piece. Now, again, what that bigger name is that's out there for deadline fodder, Alex Pietrangelo has been rumored to be dealt for a year and a half now. I still don't see that happening, even though the Blues are slumping a little bit. They're still one of the top teams in the league and could very well repeat as Cup champions, even though, again, winning the Stanley Cup is more about who has momentum heading into the playoffs. But still, it's a move for this defense that needed another addition now with the absence of Adam Pelech although he's been out for a bit, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm intrigued. I mean, again, the Islanders, despite losing Robin Lehner, they're still hanging around. And absolutely that's down to the coaching system of Barry Trotz, which is no real surprise. I'm intrigued in terms of fewest goals against. I mean, yeah, sixth in terms of the fewest amount of goals against, but their differential's not great. Obviously, the goal scoring isn't quite there in comparison to Tampa, Pittsburgh, not even, Dallas. Yeah, actually, Dallas has scored fewer goals than the Islanders, and the Islanders have played less games. That is bizarre. But, yeah, overall, decent move for the Islanders. I wouldn't be surprised to see them make another move, maybe? Possibly? I mean, you look at that forward core, and it's like, maybe they're not done. But they get their defenseman, a veteran presence, the captain of the Devils, so certainly a new era after this error for the Devils, which, again, it's been astonishing to see just how it's kind of fallen apart for them. Before Andy Greene, I mean, again, you're not getting a massive point guy. 11 points, this season so far, 25 points. Last year, he blocks a shit ton of shots, though. Doesn't really hit that much. And then possession metrics-wise, I mean, here's the thing, right? It's like you wanna look at Corsi percentage for this season. You look at the stats. I mean, Corsi and Fenwick are both down a bit. So possession-wise, it's tough, right? Because obviously you're on the Devils. It's a bad team, so you kind of expect these possession numbers to be down. But even then, it's not great. Like, you're getting a veteran shutdown defenseman who's probably not going to be leading too many rushes. It fits the Islanders' style, though, of defense first. So we'll see how it works out for them. And, with Andy Greene, who's to say what's going to come of it? Although, I'm intrigued. Yeah, Andy Greene. Andy, buddy. Andy. He has an NCAA title. I was going to say. Give the guy a chance. Give the guy a chance to win something. Obviously, went to the Cup final with the Devils when they lost to Los Angeles. Sorry, Devils fans, for bringing that up. Like I said, we were going to bury the lead. Blake Coleman is now a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning, which, damn, essentially giving up 2 first-round picks. However, this is very, very similar to the situation with the Penguins and the Jason Zucker trade, where, again, you look at what they gave up, mainly these 2 pieces here, and you're like, what the hell, that's a massive overpayment. But as we talked about in that video, and thank you for those of you that watched that video, I do appreciate any support, of course, with anything I do, but especially beyond just the franchise mode stuff. But as we talked about in that video, these 2 pieces are not as important to Pittsburgh right now because they're going for it. So these 2 pieces right here for the Lightning are not as important to them because they're going for it. And Blake Coleman is one hell of an addition to an already established core, as we'll get into. But very, very intrigued by this trade. The initial reaction was, Jesus Christ, Blake Coleman brings in that much. But then you get a look at Blake Coleman, and you start to see what some of the numbers are. The main thing here, he is under contract next year as well for $1.8 million, which is a goddamn steal. Like, that is the only way to put it. That is one hell of a contract, because he is currently on his back-to-back seasons with 20 goals at this point. That would be the right way to phrase it. Has 21 goals in 57 games this year for the Devils, again, on a bad team. 20 goals for $1.8 million? Yeah. No. That is an absurd addition for Blake Coleman. Now, the thing with him, again, possession numbers aren't that great, but he's on a bad team. His face-off percentage isn't that great either, despite him being a natural center, so will he probably play the wing a little bit more on this Lightning team? I would assume so. Again, you can just kind of look at this lineup and see all the options they have at center, so, I mean, they can mix and match as they need to. But, yeah, I mean, again, for Tampa, what this addition brings, it's insane, right? I mean, obviously, the pressure's on them this year to see, what they can do. But this is the lineup they've been running. This is updated 11 hours ago. So you add Coleman to the mix here. You're not missing a forward. You have McDonough and Ruda on IR right now. But you add Blake Coleman to the mix here. I mean, hell, they're running Yanni Gord on the fourth line. I mean, yeah. And, of course, the development of Eric Chernak into a top four defenseman, that top four is still absolutely insane. So, yeah, the Lightning stacked up. I mean, good to go, ready to compete. And, I mean, you look at the cap situation, it's still looking okay, right? They certainly had the room to make a move, and bringing in Blake Coleman makes all the sense in the world. I mean, you might run into some trouble, but when you get, obviously, Patrick Maroon and Kevin Shattenkirk to sign the deals that they did, if you win it this year, who cares if you might have trouble signing Anthony Cirelli at the end of the year, right? Or Eric Chernak, for that matter. So you're going to be asking those younger players to be like, hey, bridge deal, and we'll pay you big time later. So we'll see how that pans out for him. But obviously, it's a tremendous move for the Lightning. For the Devils, tremendous move as well. Again, Nolan Foote, first-round pick last year, 27th overall to the Lightning. Signed as ELC as well. Numbers thus far, 33 points in 26 games for the Kelowna Rockets, which is pretty damn good. I mean, unfortunately with the WHL and just kind of the CHL in general, but definitely, especially with the WHL, the advanced stats tracking, it's not the best. So really you can only go off of point totals, but it's looking good. I mean, he was a first-round pick. It was kind of expected, maybe a bit of a fringe first-round pick, but it's a really good addition to the Devils. And of course, we'll, get another quick look here. You look at their system, obviously, at center, you're good to go. Hischier, Hughes, obviously Michael McLeod's still there as well. You're kind of good to go on that front. On the wing, Bratt, Zaka, on the wing right now, listed more as, drafted as a center, but Miles Wood's there, Boqvist. But in terms of prospects who aren't already on the roster, out of these names here, yeah. I mean, Baddock's, no offense to Brandon Paddock, you're probably never going to make it. He's more of a grind option. But, you look at the list of prospects here, you needed some depth on the wings, and Nolan Foote is now arguably your top prospect. I mean, I'm pretty sure Tyce Thompson is doing well right now, but aside from that, Merkley, who you got in the Hall trade, you could legitimately argue that Nolan Foote is now the top prospect in their system. So getting a first-round pick and arguably your new top prospect, because obviously we're not going to consider Jack Hughes a prospect, he's on the roster, for Blake Coleman, no disrespect, but 20 goal scorer Blake Coleman, that's pretty damn good. I mean, defensively, yes, it's a little bit better. You do have Ty Smith in the system. Nikita Hotyuk is there as well. And Riley Walsh, honestly, isn't that bad either. But you probably just got your top forward prospect in exchange for a 20-goal scorer. And obviously, what benefits New Jersey now? A prospect or a 20-goal scorer? You thought it was going to be the 20-goal scorer at the start of the year. That's just simply not the case. And then with the Devils, you get another first-round pick. So both of these first-round picks here could potentially be for next year. If you're New Jersey, you gotta hope at least one of them is available this year because you don't have a second and a third-round pick. So still a decent little war chest that they're building up right now. They're without their second-round pick next year as well. But potentially having 3 first-round picks in this draft, that is a tremendous little war chest to be playing with and create some very interesting possibilities for them. Not to mention, I mean, I don't know if you're going to have the ability to trade Travis Zajac. You'd certainly have to retain cap. Is anybody going to want him? Wayne Simmons, I mean, you should at least get something for him. I don't care if it's a fourth. Get something for Wayne Simmons. As I don't know if I'm coming down with a cold or not. That would suck. Kyle Palmieri has been rumored to be traded forever. Has an extra year on his deal. I mean, you look at the names on this team, you're not going to be able to trade PK Subban. You're going to need to hope that PK comes back next year and maybe even the year after and raises that stock back up before you might be able to trade him in the final year of that contract. But they have some pieces to work with to still add to this list of draft picks right now. So it's an interesting situation for Tom Fitzgerald, but, it's just been such a weird season for the Devils, of course. You know, again, going from thinking potentially playoffs, we brought in PK, we are going for it, and it just collapses. The second, like, you just, here, out of the starting gate, onto your faces, and I'm probably not making it better for Devils fans, but there's a chance it does get better, but that's going to be sooner rather than later. So, overall, the Andy Greene trade to the Islanders, I wouldn't be surprised if the Islanders aren't done. I'm a little bit surprised that Andy Greene is the guy that they targeted, but it does kind of make sense, you know, in terms of the system that they play. But, yeah, in terms of being a big point-producing, puck-moving defenseman, he is not that. And the Devils get a second-round pick back in exchange for the captain and a prospect who's a long shot, but you never know. And then the Blake Coleman deal for the Lightning, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And again, they've done it again, where you get someone on just a stupidly cheap contract, except unlike Maroon or unlike Shattenkirk, he's there next year as well, which is huge. And for the Devils, you get arguably, again, your top prospect now amongst forwards, maybe even in general, and another first-round pick either this year or next. So good work from New Jersey as they continue to tear down. Amazing for the Lightning. Decent for the Islanders. Decent. We'll see how Andy Greene fits in. Yeah, it's going to be tough unless they run into the Bruins for me to not kind of root for the Islanders again. You know, it was a good story. I mean, unless you're a Leafs fan, you're just like, fuck them. But, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of rooting for the Islanders a little bit. The underdog story. What can I say? So, that'll do it for this one. This is supposed to be a quicker video. That didn't happen. But I thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Of course, for the Islanders-Devils trade, you know, winners and losers I don't think apply. We don't know yet. We don't know who that second-round pick is going to be for New Jersey. Tell me in 10 years who you think won this trade. We don't know what the Islanders are going to be able to do with Andy Greene. But are you surprised, like I am, that the Islanders went after Andy Greene? And for the Lightning, you know, Devils trade, you can call the Lightning winners for now, because again, it makes all the sense in the world to give up a prospect, give up a first rounder to try and increase your chances of winning this year. Makes all the sense in the world. For the Devils, though, obviously it's a phenomenal trade. Like, yeah, you gave up a 20-goal scorer on a tremendous contract, but that doesn't benefit you. At least not right now. You're not a playoff team. So in terms of winners and losers for the moment, again, I think good trades for both teams. You know, you might be able to, again, though, look at the Andy Greene deal and just be like, okay, that's who the Islanders are going for? We'll see how it plays out. But again, I thank you very much for watching. Drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Subscribed for sure if you haven't already. Check out everything in the description. All the socials are there, of course. And, yeah, Patreon. I love you all. I will see you guys next time as deadline season continues to heat up. And yes, by the way, we will be streaming on deadline day, the 24th, over on Twitch. It's my birthday. It's going to be a fun stream that morning, that afternoon. I'm looking forward to it already, so I'll see you guys in a week on that front. Good night, goodbye, good day. See you later.